Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Donald Trump's masked agents are still terrorizing Americans. I just got back from Minneapolis, where I encountered a city in a kind of standstill, as if laid siege to during a war. I mean, I cannot overstate the degree to which ICE has completely altered the texture of daily life there. There are 3,000 agents on the streets of Minnesota. They outnumber Minneapolis-St. Paul police there 3-1. And they are spending every day hunting immigrants and American citizens alike. I mean, folks are leaving their businesses closed. There's entire strips where the doors are closed and locked because they don't want ICE coming in to avoid being harassed or raided. Here's one thing that I was learning about today. Patients are foregoing medical care lest they be violently detained on their way to the doctor's office or ER. I mean, we're talking about hundreds, if not thousands, of folks who are scared about getting picked up by ICE and so are staying inside, even if they have urgent medical issues. I talked to a doctor who described women giving birth at home for fear of being nabbed by ICE if they went to the hospital. Parents are keeping their kids home from school. Hundreds, maybe thousands of kids doing remote learning for fear they might be abducted at a bus stop. ICE is circling around schools in the local area, and every school now has a patrol with folks in green vests trying to spot ICE. So the question is, when will this madness end? Will it really end? Or is the administration just playing political games? Well, today, the big development was that Trump's so-called border czar, Tom Homan, who has been overseeing the campaign of terror in Minnesota for the last few days since CBP official Greg Bovino was reassigned, signaled there may be an opportunity to wind down operations there.
No agency or organization is perfect. President Trump and I, along with others in the administration, have recognized that certain improvements could and should be made. That's exactly what I'm doing here. The withdrawal of law enforcement resources here is dependent upon cooperation. Like I said, one agent arresting one bad guy in jail means less agents on the street. We have some agreements. We got more to talk about how we're going to implement those agreements. But as we see that cooperation happen, then the redeployment will happen.
Okay. I mean, bad guy. Is the 5-year-old Liam Ramos a bad guy? Is that what you mean by bad guy? Here's the problem. This administration, of course, has zero credibility. They lie like they breathe. We can't trust anything they say, whether it's an excuse for the use of deadly force against American citizens or pledges to draw down their campaign of menace on American streets at the sort of point of a gun, as it were, right? I mean, the sort of coercion. Just in the last hour, Trump himself said there would be no drawdown in Minnesota. So also earlier today, Republican Senator Susan Collins of Maine announced that Homeland Security Kristi Noem confirmed to her ICE would end its surge targeting immigrants in her state. And we've heard stories in the last week or so coming out of Maine that are very similar to Minnesota, including cars left by the side of the road after an abduction with the keys still in it and the hazards on. But who knows if what Noem told Collins is actually true. We don't even know if Kristi Noem is the one calling the shots anymore. In fact, it seems increasingly likely she could be Trump's scapegoat for this entire debacle amid bipartisan calls for her removal and or impeachment. Notably, Noem was not called to speak at today's televised cabinet meeting. We don't know why. A number of other cabinet secretaries did speak. We also know, interestingly, President Trump, who managed to appear to doze off only once, also refused to take questions. The most likely reason for that is that they understand they're in damage control mode. They see that people across the country don't like this. But even if all that were true, and even if Noem is telling the truth about ICE leaving Maine, there is no indication this larger Trump immigration campaign of terror is ending, right? I mean, the intent appears to be to play kind of whack-a-mole with American cities, because those 3,000 agents could simply be deployed somewhere else where they would start doing the exact same things they've been doing in Minnesota, as they did similarly in Chicago and Los Angeles and other places. Tom Homan, in that respect, gave away the game. He said something today that I have been shocked at from the moment it left his lips and have been thinking about all day. Today, when he's there to presumably kind of tamp down the temperature, he spoke about DHS federal agents' presence in our cities, in American cities, in terms of war.
Another thing I witnessed when I came here, I'll share this with you. I met with a lot of people, a lot of the agents. They've been in theater. Some of these people have been in theater for 8 months. So there's going to be rotations of personnel. they've been in theater a long time, and so there's rotations happen all the time to get people out there and go home, get some rest, and see their families.
They've been in theater? They've been in theater, like in Normandy or Khe Sanh. That's how you talk about a war zone theater. They've actually been in Minneapolis, Minnesota, or Los Angeles, California, or Chicago, Illinois, a Midwestern American city. The Trump administration has decided to wage this conflict as invaders making war on American population. And I cannot tell you how many times Minnesotans said, we feel like we're having a war waged upon us. And they're waging it on citizens and non-citizens alike, and they now have a casualty count. The only defense that has had any effect is this remarkable, widespread mass resistance to this federal occupation. Because public opinion is not on his side. New Pew poll today has Donald Trump's approval rating at just 37%. Now, that's a high-quality poll. That's the lowest of his term. And it's pretty clear what's driving it recently is what's been happening in Minneapolis, large part because folks don't like what they're seeing. The politics of it are toxic. And the question is, will there be enough backlash to force Trump to back down? Donald Trump cannot be shamed, but he does care about his own ego and vanity. He does understand optics. He does understand when things look bad enough for him personally that it's easier to just cut his losses. Remember, this has happened once before. I said it last night, but it's really worth repeating. It's exactly what happened during the family separation crisis during Trump's first term. Enough people were shocked and repulsed by the images of migrant children being ripped from the arms of their parents that Trump was forced to reverse course on his own policy. And it's worth remembering the guy behind that entire debacle was none other than Tom Homan, the border czar, the guy that Trump sent to Minneapolis today to talk about a so-called drawdown from the theater. So the question now is, can that same political pressure be mobilized to stop this? Today, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, who's been on the front lines of this political fight, called on his fellow mayors to step up and resist.
We recognize that one great American city is experiencing an invasion. That is an invasion on our democracy, on our republic, and on each and every one of us. And the fact that you all are standing up means the world. We are on the front lines of a very important battle. And it's important that we aren't silenced, that we aren't put down. This is not a time to bend our heads in despair or out of fear that we may be next, because if we do not speak up, if we do not step out, it will be your city that is next.